Well, welcome back, everyone. This is an exciting session we're about to enter into here. The title of the session is Democratizing Artificial Intelligence in Regulated Financial Services. And I'm sure a lot of us who are in the financial services sector have seen regulations upon regulations upon regulations over the years coming in. And of course, with AI now, it moves into a very interesting territory. And the idea of democratizing, but at the same time, empowering business professionals and addressing trust in black box models certainly is a key topic for us to start discussing and getting our minds around. So here to help us in that journey is Reuven Shnaps. Reuven will introduce himself. And over to you, Reuven.
Thank you very much, Derek. A pleasure to be here. I kind of feel, I told you this before, strange. I'm sitting in my hotel room while being kind of at the conference, but I'm very happy to be here. So I'm Reuven Shnaps. I work for Earnix. In a few minutes, I will tell you a little bit about what the company is doing, but a little bit of background about myself. In training, I'm an economist. I spent 9 years in the US, in Philadelphia, doing my PhD in economics, and then later 4 years in the Boston area. So it's great to be back here. And since I moved back to Israel, I've been working for Earnix for 17 and a half years, and having the opportunity to work with hundreds of financial institutions and helping them basically to leverage data and analytics to make more informed business decisions through the platform that Earnix provides. And as I said, I'll give a background in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So I typically like to open any of my presentation with a quote, and I couldn't, of course, we are talking about AI, so I couldn't help myself, and of course we need to use Gen AI to help me. So what you see here are prominent tech leaders' quotes that ChatGPT helped me to find. I'll admit that just I didn't go back and figure out whether these are indeed were said or not, but it doesn't really matter. I think they all have a common denominator. Basically, we want to give the power to the people and help other people to leverage data analytics to solve complex problems, and so they can also shape their own future. But I wanted to do more than that, and was just a search. I said, well, let's be creative and let's see if ChatGPT can give me a light business version. And you see the results. Those of you might have seen this on LinkedIn. I posted it. So this is spreading the AI love all around. And let's bring the AI party to the people. But then I said, well, let me see the real power of ChatGPT and then put a humorous kind of tone into this. And I kind of liked very much the result. It says, as Oprah said, you get AI, you get AI, and everybody gets AI. So setting kind of jokes aside, I mean, this is really an important topic where today, with all the tools that are available, we want to make sure that specifically in business professional can leverage it, and I'll expand on that in a few minutes. But as I promised, I want to give you a little bit of a background about Earnix and talk about some unique aspects of financial services. So Earnix is a global insurtech fintech leader, an innovator. We have been around for over 20 years when we pioneered something we call intelligence insurance operation, basically covering all the main operation elements around the customer journey between the insurance companies and banks. We are SaaS, a cloud-based software company, and we have a track record for innovation. I mentioned that I had the pleasure of working with hundreds of financial institutions or different projects. We have more than 100 clients around the globe in 35 countries, and we have offices almost where in different areas. So in the US, Europe, and also in Australia, New Zealand. Now, when we talk about intelligent insurance operations, so intelligence is clear. We bring a software solution which allows insurance companies and banks to leverage data and analytics. Dynamic agility is actually what is needed. So ability to change the strategies, deploy models at scale in real time, all that is also afforded by our solution, and composable in a sense that you don't need to rip off your existing technology, but rather Onyx allows you to connect to your existing, let's say, policy admin system or other solution, or the open analytics concept of bring your own models. And as you can see, the type of areas that we deal with, and with a focus on underwriting and pricing. Pricing is a very core topic, and there's some of the insurance companies in the US, you have hundreds of professionals dealing with this topic. Now, this is, we are in a general conference, obviously, and there's a lot of industries, and I want to talk about some unique aspects of financial service and insurance and banking. When we think about the product and insurance and banking or insurance, it's fairly complex. Also, the customer buying journey. Anyone here who tried to buy an insurance product, so travel insurance might be very simple, but auto, home, life, health, these can be very, very complex. People don't necessarily understand. You need to go through several people, a lot of questions. Also, there's different channels. You can go through a comparative website. You can do directly to the website. You can go through an agent, broker, phone. And often people start in one channel and move to another channel to try to close. And pricing, so getting the price right is critical. You would say you need to get the price right in anything. But the big difference both in banking and insurance is that what's the cost of a product, of an insurance? This is why you have the actuaries or pricing professionals that need to estimate the cost associated with the product. And if you don't have the basic right, then your market price is going to be wrong. There's also aspects of competition and how customers perceive prices. All that needs to be factored in. And finally, as also Derek said in his opening, it's a highly regulated environment. And when you have a highly regulated environment, that's actually had to the complexity, because you need to adhere to a certain requirements before you can actually put the prices or strategies on the market. So to really address all these unique aspects, we need to leverage data and analytics, and this is pivotal in really making sure you have an informed and business strategy that also will help the business achieve its KPIs, and also on the other hand will give customers what they need. So these are the aspirations of companies. Almost every company has, we heard also this morning that throughout the conference, people are trying and doing a lot of stuff with ML and AI, but a lot of the time it's in the back room. You have a group of great individuals coming up with complex models, but this is the reality. The sad reality is that all those models never see the light of days. In fact, Gartner, I think a few years ago, said about 85% of machine learning projects, they fail. I've seen another article with a similar title, 87%. I think this morning, Tom Davenport and in his session this morning said maybe also 13% or 1 out of 10. So it's really kind of puzzling. We have all that great tools, a lot of talent, but at the end of the day, we don't see these projects succeed. And when I say succeed, they need to be deployed and make an impact in the market. So a big question is why? Why do we see such a big failure rate? So there are different reasons for that. One is the lack of analytical agility. You need to be able to deal with a lot of data and technology, and just that the organizations, especially sometimes in financial services, these are very conservative organizations that just they're not geared or don't have the setup to move at the pace that is needed to utilize those tools. Another big topic is analytical proficiency. Just as there's a lack of knowledge of how to use data analytics, of what it means for the business. And this is one that is coming many times, this reliance of old legacy systems. How many times we heard the fact that just that the technology is so old, is from 30, 40 years ago, and it just does not support such complex model. Sometimes even not, and definitely not hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of variables that you might want to use. Another topic which was discussed heavily, and I'm going to focus on this in this presentation, is the disconnect between the different parts of the organization and disconnection from the business. This is a combination of lack of knowledge, but also not having the right technology. And if the business is not engaged and is not part of this, the chance that you'll be able to deploy the model at scale and successfully are going to be very, very small. So how can we give some power to the business professionals? What do we need to do? And when we talk about the business professional, it's not just one particular profession. In the case of insurance and banks, we are talking about multiple type of people. It could be the business analyst, could be the pricing and product managers, could be the business executive, and can be also the front-end people, the broker or sales representative. They all have different needs and all need kind of different solution to address their need. But what I think we'll see is that technology and some solution can actually help a lot in creating a common language and also encourage collaboration across the entire organization. Sorry. So what are some of the key elements for putting the power of AI in the hands of those business professionals? I want to focus today on three things, actually, probably mostly on two: the insights, decisioning, and we have time, I'll maybe touch a little bit about monitoring. But before we can do that, we need to focus and talk about two main elements. One is the analytical proficiency that I mentioned before, and the second one is trust. If we don't have trust, again, no matter how good your models are, then they are not going to be used and deployed in production. So I assume you are all familiar with the famous Dan Ariely, behavioral economist. Recommend you that you get his books. And maybe I'll mention something interesting that Dan Ariely did. If you go to LinkedIn, he actually posted some questions and he answered them, and let also ChatGPT answer them, and he kind of let you guess who did what and who do you think has the better answer. So interesting experiment. Suggest you do it. But basically, Dan Ariely says that we need to teach the students as well as executives how to conduct experiments and how to examine data and how to use these tools to take better decisions. So this is critical, and I think McKinsey is very active in that space, and now recently with the generative AI put an excellent article, what should any CEO know about generative AI or AI in general. So when it comes to analytical proficiency, we want the organization to basically invest. And invest means they need to put time and effort in educating everyone about the technology, about the methodology. And there are different, also this is discussed also in the during the symposium. There are dedicated courses. You can have it, also depends on the size of the organization. But as I said before, key is also to educate the stakeholders. And another idea that I highly recommend is so this to be some organization implement, you need to form a cross-functional teams across the organization. So when you come to have a project, you want to put a new model in place, a pricing model, a cross-sell model, or whatever it is, you need to have a multidisciplinary team working together. People need to understand the business environment. They need to ask the right business question. They need to be educated. I think the education goes both ways. And so that's critical. When we come to talking about trust, so trust, it's about, there is a fear obviously from the models, and especially when it comes to insurance and banking, you know, how can we trust that you use if it's a black box? What do we know about the models, the type of variables that you use, the type of techniques? Now, if we, I don't think it's a problem that we don't always understand how the models work. I mean, think of, I like to use the Netflix example. Netflix, great company, uses data analytics, AI, in everything that they do. So what would be the big deal if Netflix recommended the wrong movie? So they ruined my night. Or even, which is of course unfortunate, it shouldn't happen, they recommend certain type of movie to one group and certain type of movie to another group. Should be avoided. But again, the consequences are minimal. But when it comes to insurance products and banking products, a decision to deny from someone credit, or underinsure, or give the wrong insurance to people can have a very significant impact on the livelihood of people, and therefore needs to be very, very taken into consideration when you do that. So this kind of the field of explainable and responsible AI, it's all over the place, and it's kind of, but very, very important for the adoption of those machine learning models in the space of financial services. And you need to instill the trust in business professionals, in the regulators, and customer alike. So let's talk a little bit about some tools that we can give to business professionals that will help to instill the trust and understanding of what's behind kind of the black box. And I want to talk about some explainability tools and also about model diagnostic. When we talk about explainability, so there are different questions that one can ask. So first, of course, can I trust the models? But if someone is a high-risk driver, so why someone is classified as high-risk driver? Why did I give someone a certain premium? Or how should I communicate the reason for the denial? All that is questions that explainability can help address. And when we talk about explainability, we talk about basically about two types or two levels. The global explainability that gives you an overall understanding of the model, kind of as a general. So what are the variables that went into the model? And here you see an example of how I feature of importance. Now there are different metrics to do that. And here you see that they are ordered by their importance, and also there is the general sign. So for example, we are talking about a conversion model, whether someone is asking for a quote, did they convert or not? And the number of days prior to the actual start of the insurance is a very positive influencer on conversion. On the other hand, as we expect, premium is a negative. What this will give you is the ability to understand first which variables are significant and how much they contribute, and can I live without them? So for example, here you see that 7 variables account for about 80% of the explanation or the power of the model. So maybe if there are some problematic variables, I can just decide not to include them. And this can also create a conversation between business people and the analytical people who generated the model, because often those people who generate the model don't really understand the business, as I said before. So it's important that the technology, these tools will facilitate the conversation. If we go a step further, now we want to also answer questions at the individual level. I need to explain or need to understand what's happening. So okay, I understand generally what the model is doing. Here you see a waterfall chart that can provide the business professional to understand why I am at over 21% conversion relative to, let's say, an average or a segment of 11%. And you can see each factor by how much it's increased or decreased the conversion level. And furthermore, you have the ability now to basically put them two people side by side. Both of them have the same conversion level, but you can see that the waterfall is different. So different factors due to the interaction that you have in the model, it's kind of fairly complex models, can generate different waterfalls for people. But this kind of, you can do simulation and start to understand how the models works and what kind of recommendation it will provide. And also, this will be also very useful in conversation with people to try to explain to them the decision. When we talk about diagnostic, this is a little bit different than pricing. As I said, is a core function within insurance. And in contrast to predictive models that, let's say I'm looking at my door now, I say, who's going to enter the door, knock on the door? I don't really care about the factors. I just want to know the best model. I want to know with a certainty that no one will bother me right now. So that's all I care. But when it comes to pricing, the lever of pricing, when I pull the lever up or down, it will impact immediately the probability of conversion. And then I need to understand it very well. So the measure of elasticity gives you how sensitive customers to this. And typically, as an economist, as I said, everything else is the same. When you increase the price, conversion or quantity will decrease. But when you use machine learning model, you cannot really control anymore the shape and the direction. So what you end up with is sometimes positive elasticity. Sometimes end up with the fact that the model will suggest that if you increase the rates, people will buy more. So again, I'm not saying whether the model is wrong or not, but it will help business professional have a conversation. Like if you have a situation where 16% of the profile exhibit positive elasticity, it's something that you should be concerned about and go back to the people and discuss this with them. Because if you're going to put that into action, you might actually be suggesting to do things that are actually, at the end of the day, will not materialize in increased conversion or profit or even customer satisfaction. And here you can see some weird shapes that you can get. So there is no way with the typical machine learning models, it's very difficult to control the fact to make them downward sloping all the way. Again, just a tool. Now, generative AI can also help people not just try to interpret this, but you can even use generative AI to do the interpretation for you. I think this is the next generation of how we can use generative AI on top of those tools. Now, we want to take this a step further, and I know I'm running out of time a bit, but I'll try to, this is an important point. It's all about impact. So how do I move from the insight to taking action? So here is an example where I take the model, and this is for some of you will be familiar as a partial dependency plot. And what it shows you that now I'm holding everything else the same, but now the only thing I'm going to change is the number of installments, how many payments I'm going to have. What you can see here, that these charts give the manager an understanding that if you move from 4 installments to 12 installments, this will double, add almost 20% to the conversion rates. And you can see the difference between two individuals. Here it's from 4 to 10, here it's from 27 to almost 50. Again, give you some understanding, okay, so this might, in the case of the person on the left, I can actually increase his conversion by 20%. Maybe I should consider, offering this suggestion to that person if there is some difficulty for that person to convert the policy with the current terms. And I'm just wanna, before I give the mic back to Derek for maybe some questions, I wanna also introduce another tool which is come from economics counterfactuals. It's kind of a fancy what if. Basically says that in certain situations where you have multiple parameters that are in the control of the bank or the customer or the insurance companies, and let's say you denied someone. So there are different reasons. So if you want to say, so how can I actually change the situation? So this would be a win-win. What changes do I need to make in order to approve the loan for a certain person or to underwrite the person? And here you can see an example of an underwriting decision. You see kind of 6 factors. The 3 top ones are one that you cannot control. I cannot change the demographic age, but the liability limits, the deductibles, or the number of payments are things that I can change by the insurance, by the person, and I can have a solution that will suggest for me the minimal changes that I need to do in order to change the outcome for the customer. So this is something that can also be deployed in websites, when you interact with the customers. Again, then that will be a win-win if you again leverage the AI to help the customer actually get the product that they need. And with that, just a final key takeaway. So obviously, data analytics are very important, become more critical than ever before. We need to have the business engaged. We need to have the right technology and the tools that will serve as a common language that will be able to connect them to the data and analytics and foster collaboration and discussion between them and the very important data and talented data pool that exists in the organization. Derek, back to you. And
wow, thank you, Reuven. Really, really great overall kind of picture that you painted for us here. Yeah, a couple of questions, just in terms of the key sort of challenges in implementing democratized AI. How do you go about prioritizing and addressing the challenges?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, because today, and I kind of face this with my own team. Everyone loves to do fancy stuff, but also people want to see things being implemented. The word impact comes across, and everyone wants to see that. So when you think about the balance between, hey, I really want to use these fancy models and I want to see them work in the market, you have to kind of strike that balance. So I think it's the incentive is also on the data teams kind of to create those tools or of the organization to procure the technology that will be able to connect the dots, because this last mile problem this is kind of a challenge that we see all the time. I mean, too often I've seen people spending months and months and months on building those models, and it just doesn't happen. So it's the interest, I think, of the data people to make sure the business people are educated and they have the right technology and tools to so they can operationalize the great models they have. But I think you need to start with simple. Just take sometimes simple model, put them in to work. That will create the trust, and then I think you can move to the next level.
Yeah, creating that culture of collaboration between the data professionals and the business professionals, as you highlighted, is really key. But there's still a lot, I think, to be learned, and I'm wondering, in your customer base that you've talked about, the hundreds of different financial institutions that you guys have worked with, how are organizations doing that? How are they encouraging the collaboration between the data professionals and the business professionals to harness the full potential?
Yeah, as I said, at the end of the day, they all share a common goal, okay? Yeah. And the common goal is that the KPIs should be shared, across the organization. So if you have the siloed approach, that's what we see typically. The siloed approach basically leads to delays, leads to the fact that when people are just not, you come up with the models and tell you, sorry, I'm busy with some other stuff. So I think this common goal and ability of this, as I said, of creating those cross functional teams, I think that's actually a key to the success. And I think we see this. I think there was a debate in the conference, where should those some data translator, the twinners, where they should sit? Well, this is kind of an organization, so you should have one here, one there. That's not enough, okay? When you approach a project, you have to make sure you pull the IT people, you pull the business people, you pull the finance people, you pull the marketing, the sales people. I think that's and you have to allow everyone to ask questions about the why. And if you connect the dots, then the chances of success increase significantly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key, that question, why.
Yeah. Always I tell my guys that, again, I'm responsible for always ask why. When someone pull you for a demo, for whatever, don't just say, okay, just do it. Ask why. What's the business context?
Yeah. I mean, it's the fundamental question. It's the first question that children ask their parents. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to our roots. Reuven, thank you very much. I think, very interesting and thought-provoking session, and I wish you all the best with everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if anyone wants to hear more, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to continue the conversation offline. Thank you. Thank you, Derek, and thank you, CDOIQ, for the opportunity.